Okay, so we are reading the Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield. We are in the chapter Clearing the Past, page number 164 of my book and 89 of the PDF. So what we are reading right now is the drama, the control drama. This is one of the most powerful aspects or what has been depicted in this book, according to me. There are basically 4 types of control drama. The first control drama is intimidator. The second one is interrogator. The third one is aloof. And the fourth one is poor me. Okay, so we are reading ahead from there.
The idea propelled me into deep thought. Father Carl said something else, but I couldn't concentrate on what he was saying. The waning fire was having a calming effect on me. I realized I was tired. Father Carl sat up straight and said, I think you're out of energy for tonight, but let me leave you with one thought. You can go to sleep and never think again of what we have discussed. You can go right back into your old drama, or you can wake up tomorrow and hold on to this new idea of who you are.
So now, very important over here. Okay. So all of us have patterns. All of us have these control dramas. The more aware we become of them, the only way to transcend them is to become aware of them. So what is Father Carl saying to him? That I'm leaving you with this thought. Now you can go back to your old drama or get out of it. It is as simple as that.
If you do, then you can take the next step in the process, which is to look closely at all the other things that have happened to you since birth. If you view your life as one story from birth to right now, you'll be able to see how you have been working on this question all along. You'll be able to see how you came to be here in Peru and what you should do next.
So again, when we are looking at our life and things are happening in our life, when we start paying attention to the patterns which are there in our life, we will understand what is the universe trying to direct us to. And when we start understanding that, what is the next step becomes very, very clear and very apparent.
I nodded and looked at him closely. His eyes were warm and caring and held the same expression I had seen so often on Will's face and Sanchez's.
Okay, now, Father Carl, Father Sanchez, and Will, they were all operating at a higher state of consciousness because they had gone through the various insights and it had transformed them from inside. So you see, when you're operating at the same vibratory level, your actions, your thinking process automatically starts becoming similar.
Good
I
night.
have noticed the voice also becomes very similar.
Absolutely.
The way you speak, huh?
Because you're operating at that frequency, right?
Yeah.
So the way you look at things, the way the gestures, all those things start to become very similar.
Yeah.
You see highly spiritual people, they act literally in the same way.
Same manner.
The way they walk, the way they talk, it becomes
Same
very
expressions.
Similar.
Yes. Yeah.
Good night, Father Carl said and walked into the bedroom and closed the door. I unrolled my sleeping bag on the floor and fell quickly to sleep. I woke up with Will on my mind. I wanted to ask Father Carl what else he knew of Will's plans. As I lay there thinking, still zipped in the sleeping bag, Father Carl walked into the room quietly and began rebuilding the fire.
Okay, now, so I got up in the mind. I got up in the morning with Will in my mind. Okay, so many times what happens is that when we are just getting up, it's the hypnoponic state where we are not totally awake and we are not asleep. That is a time of high intuitive ability because the conscious mind has access to the subconscious mind at that point in time. So one of the best places to meditate actually is on your pot, because as soon as you get up, you're sitting on the pot, you're half there and half here. So that makes it a very powerful time to meditate. Okay. And you can actually access your inner state of consciousness at that, in that state of consciousness. So as soon as normally people, when they get up, they go and sit on the pot. So that becomes a nice time to actually meditate.
I unzipped the bag and he looked over at me, alerted by the sound. Good boy, he said. How did you sleep? Okay, I replied, standing. He put fresh kindling on the coals and then larger pieces of firewood. What did Will say he was going to do? I asked. Father Carl stood and faced me. He said he was going to a friend's house to wait for some information he expected. Apparently, information about the ninth insight. What else did he say? I asked. Will told me that he thought Father Sebastian intends to find the last insight himself and seems to be close. Will thinks that the person who controls the last insight will determine whether the manuscript ever becomes widely distributed and understood. Why? I'm not sure really. Will was one of the first to ever collect and read the insights. He may understand them better than any man alive. He feels, I think, that the last insight will make all the others become more clear and accepted. Do you think he is right? I asked. I don't know, he replied. I don't understand as much as he does. All I understand is what I am supposed to do.
So now, as we go into finer and finer understanding of something, the earlier learning automatically starts to become clearer, because again, you're raising your level and you're looking at it from a higher perspective. Now, this is also important. I don't understand much as he does. All I understand is what I am supposed to do. Now, most of the time, we are inferring he should do that, he should do this, you do like this, you do like that. Rather, if we focus on ourselves, that what we need to do, the rest of the stuff we cannot do anything about. So if we focus on what we need to do, things will automatically start moving correct around us. Because if we are doing our end of the bargain, then the others will automatically start doing their end of the bargain.
What is that? He paused momentarily, then replied, as I said before, my truth is to help people discover who they really are. When I read the manuscript, this mission became clear to me. The sixth insight is my special insight. My truth is helping others grasp this insight, and I'm effective because I've gone through the process myself.
So now, again, all of us will resonate with a particular vibratory frequency. So for example, some will resonate more with F10, some will resonate more with F12, some will resonate more with F15. Like that, the insights will also, you will resonate with a particular insight. So it's not that you will not go higher and understand the other insights, but you will resonate with one of them, which is your favorite or where you become alive. So Father Carl is connected with the sixth insight to get people to understand their control dramas. So he has intuitively got to know that that is what his maksad in life is.
What was your control drama? I asked. He looked at me with amusement. I was an interrogator. You control people by finding something wrong with the way they live their lives? That's right. My father was a poor me and my mother was aloof. They completely ignored me. The only way I could get any energy, was to pry into what they were doing and then point something wrong with it. And when did you work through this drama? About 18 months ago, when I met Father Sanchez and began to study the manuscript. After I really looked at my parents, I realized what my experience with them was preparing me to do. You see, my father stood for accomplishment. He was very goal oriented. He planned his time to the minute and judged himself according to how much he got done. My mother was very intuitive and mystical. She believed that each of us received spiritual guidance and that life was about following this direction.
So again, what is it talking about? We are here because of our parents. Our DNA is coming from the parents. So the characteristics are also passed along with the DNA. So to study what our behavior of our parents is and was becomes very important to understand what is happening with us, because again, we are a combination of both the parents, and we have chosen our parents in this life, in this birth, to be able to experience something. That is the reason why we have chosen them. So until we understand what is the reason why we've chosen these particular parents to be born to, we will not be able to transcend and actually understand why have we been born. So the idea is here, what he's saying is to study the behavior pattern of our parents and then learn from it.
What did your father think about that? He thought it was crazy. I smiled but said nothing. Can you see where that left me? Father Carl asked. I shook my head. I couldn't quite grasp it. Because of my father, he said, I was sensitized to the idea that life was about accomplishment, having something important to do and getting it done. But at the very same time, my mother was there to tell me life was about inner direction and intuitive guidance of some sort. I realized that my life was a synthesis of both viewpoints. I was trying to discover how we are guided inwardly towards the mission only we can do. Now, knowing it is of supreme importance to pursue this mission if we are to feel happy and fulfilled.
So now this is important. Okay, so now over here, what is he saying? That if we do not discover what is my purpose of being here, how can I be fulfilled and satisfied? Because if you're putting a round peg in a square hole, it will never fit. So, what are we here for? What do we resonate with? Why have we come here? What have we come here to achieve and learn? It becomes a very important connecting point to really understand what we are all about.
I nodded, and he continued. You can see why I was excited about the sixth insight. As soon as I read it, I knew that my work was to help people get clear so that they could develop this sense of purpose. Do you know how Will got on the path he is on? Yes, he shared some of this information with me. Will's drama was to be aloof, like yours. Also, as in your case, each of his parents was an interrogator, and each had a strong philosophy they wanted Will to adopt. Will's father was a German novelist who argued that the ultimate destiny of the human race was to perfect itself. His father never advocated anything but the purest of humanitarian principles. But the Nazis used his basic idea of perfection to help legitimize their murderous liquidation of inferior races. The corruption of his theme destroyed the old man and led him to move to South America with his wife and Will. His wife was a Peruvian who grew up in America and was educated there. She was a writer too, but she was basically Eastern in her philosophical beliefs. She held that life was about reaching an inner enlightenment, a higher consciousness marked by peace of mind and detachment from the things of the world. According to her, Life was not about perfection, it was about letting go of the need to perfect anything, to go anywhere. Can you see where this left Will?
So now, all our parents will have different operating modalities. What is the basis of their operation? And that is the biggest influence in our lives. Because who's your first guru? Your first guru are your parents. So what you learn from them gets totally ingrained. And kids, they learn by example. So not by teaching, but they will monitor and see what you're doing. And then they will follow the same principle. So what is happening? Whatever you are doing, your children are bound to follow that. So that's why becoming aware of your actions becomes extremely important. So now we had two different aspects as far as Will's parents were concerned.
I shook my head. He was left, Father Carl continued, in a difficult position. His father championed the Western idea of working for progress and perfection, and his mother held the Eastern belief that life was only about reaching inner peace, nothing else. These two people had prepared Will to work on integrating the main philosophical differences between Eastern and Western culture, although he didn't know it at first. He first became an engineer dedicated to progress and then a simple guide who sought peace by bringing people to the beautiful inwardly moving places in this country. But searching out the manuscript awakened all this in him. The insights speak directly to his main question. They reveal that the thought of both East and West can indeed be integrated into a higher truth. They show us that the West is correct in maintaining that life is about progress, about evolving towards something higher. Yet, the East is also correct in emphasizing that we must let go of control with the ego. We can't progress by using logic alone. We have to attain a fuller consciousness and inner connection with God because only then can our evolution towards something better be guided by a higher part of ourselves.
So what is he talking about? The integration of the left and the right side of the brain and the heart. Because if we both are not working in conjunction, the left and the right, and the heart and the brain, we will not get manifestation. We will not move into a higher state of consciousness.
When Will began to discover the insights, his whole life began to flow. He met Jose, the priest who first found the manuscript and had it translated. Soon after that, he met the owner of Vicien and helped start the research there. And at about the same time, he met Julia, who was in business but was also guiding people to the virgin forest.
So now what happened? In Will's life, there was synchronicity. As soon as he opened it up to the field, one thing led to the other. So you will find that in your life. When you start jacking into the field, you will find things will start happening automatically. You're not going to be making them happen. They will happen. The only thing that is we are responsible for is to say yes and accept it.
It was with Julia that Will had the most affinity. They hit it off immediately because of the similarity in the questions they pursued. Julia grew up with a father who talked of spiritual ideas, but in a capricious and flaky way. Her mother, on the other hand, was a college speech teacher, a debater who demanded clear thinking. Naturally, Julia found herself wanting information about spirituality but insisting that it be intelligible and precise. Will wanted a synthesis between East and West that explained human spirituality, and Julia wanted this explanation to be perfectly clear, something the manuscript was providing for both. Breakfast is ready, Sanchez called from the kitchen. I turned around surprised. I didn't realize Sanchez was up. Without pursuing the conversation any further, Father Carl and I got up and joined Sanchez in a meal of fruit and cereal. Afterwards, Father Carl asked me to take a walk to the ruins with him. I agreed, wanting very much to go there again. Both of us looked at Father Sanchez and he gracefully declined, explaining that he needed to drive down the mountain and make some phone calls. Outside, the sky was crystal clear and the sun shone brightly over the peaks. We walked briskly. Do you think there is a way to contact Will? I asked. No, he replied. He did not tell me who his friends were. The only way would be to drive to Iquitos, a town near the northern border, and I think that might be unsafe right now. Why there? I asked. He said he thought his search would take him to this town. There are many ruins near there. Also, Cardinal Sebastian has a mission nearby. Do you think will find the last insight? I don't know. We walked in silence for several minutes, then Father Carl asked, have you made a decision about what course to take personally? What do you mean? Father Sanchez said, you were talking at first about going back immediately to the United States, but that lately you seem to be more interested in exploring the insights. How are you feeling now? Precarious, I said, but for some reason I also want to continue. I understand a man was killed right beside you. That's right. And still you want to stay? No, I said. I want to get away, save my life. Yet, here I am. Why do you think that is? He asked. I scrutinized his expression. I don't know. Do you? Do you remember where we left our conversation last night? I remember exactly. We had discovered the question my parents left me with, to find a spirituality that is self enhancing, that gives one a sense of adventure and fulfillment. And you said if I looked closely at how my life has evolved, this question would put my life in perspective and clear up what's happening to me now. He smiled mysteriously. Yes, according to the manuscript, it will. How does that occur? Each of us must look at the significant turns in our lives and reinterpret them in light of our evolutionary question.
So again, what does this mean? That what were the turning points in your life? The major, the mishaps. Something came spontaneously into your life and you took it. Okay. What were those events that actually left an impression in your life?
I shook my head, not comprehending. Try to perceive the sequence of interests, important friends, coincidences that have occurred in your life. Weren't they leading you somewhere? I thought about my life since childhood but could find no pattern. How did you spend your time as you grew up? He asked. I don't know. I was a typical child, I guess. I read a lot. What did you read? Mystery stuff mostly, science fiction, ghost stories, that kind of thing. What happened in your life after that? I thought about the effect my grandfather had on me and told Father Carl about the lake and the mountains. He, he nodded his head knowingly. And after you grew up, what happened? I went away to college. My grandfather died while I was away. What did you study at college? Sociology. Why? I met a professor I liked. His knowledge of human nature interested me. I decided to study with him. What happened then? I graduated and went to work. Did you enjoy it? Yes, for a long time. Then things changed. I felt that I wasn't doing, sorry. I felt that what I was doing wasn't complete. I was working with emotionally disturbed adolescents, and I thought I knew how they could transcend their past and stop the acting out that was so self defeating. I thought I could help them go on with their lives. I finally realized something was missing in my approach. Then what? I quit. And and then an old friend called and told me of the manuscript. Is that when you decided to come to Peru? Yes. What do you think of your experience here? I think I'm crazy, I said. I think I'm going to get myself killed. But what do you think of the way your experience has progressed? I don't understand. When Father Sanchez told me what had happened to you since coming to Peru, I was amazed at the series of coincidences that brought you face to face with the different insights of the manuscript, just when you needed them.
So when you jack into the flow, then things automatically start happening. So once again.
What do you think that means? I asked. He stopped walking and faced me. It means you were ready. You are like the rest of us here. You came to the point where you needed the manuscript in order to continue your life evolution.
So now again, what is happening here? At every point, whatever is happening is the best that is happening for our spiritual evolution. Okay, so over here, what did he say? That whenever you needed that particular insight in your life, it manifested for you. But now, when that happens, you have to have your eyes open and you have to be in an accepting mode. If you're in a rejecting mode, or in your, if you're looking at, questioning that particular thing which is coming in, then you won't be able to grab it because it comes fleetingly and then moves out of the system.
He stopped walking and faced me. It means you were ready. You are like the rest of us here. You came to the point where you needed the manuscript in order to continue your life evolution. Think about how the events of your life fit together. From the beginning, you were interested in mysterious topics, and that interest finally led you to study human nature. Why do you think you happened to meet that particular teacher? He crystallized your interests and led you into looking at the great mystery, the human situation on this planet, the question of what life is about. Then, at some level, you knew that life's meaning was connected to the problem of transcending our past conditioning and moving our lives forward. That's why you were working with those kids. But as you can understand now, it has taken the insights to clear up what was missing in your technique with those youths. In order for emotionally disturbed children to evolve, they have to do what we all have to do: get connected with enough energy to see through their intense control drama, what you call acting out, and go forward in what turns out to be a spiritual process, a process you have been trying to understand all along.
So again, we can only transcend from a control drama when number one, we become aware. Number two, we have enough energy to develop escape velocity. So Robert Monroe also talked about escape velocity. We can only go into the higher states of consciousness when we have that escape velocity. We have the will and we have access to the energy required for us to get out of the system.
See the higher perspective on these events. All the interests that led you forward in your past, all these stages of growth were just preparing you to be here, now, exploring the insights. You've been working on your evolutionary search for a self enhancing spirituality throughout your entire life, and the energy you acquired from the natural spot where you grew up, an energy your grandfather was trying to show you, finally gave you the courage to come to Peru. You are here because this is where you need to be to continue the evolution. Your whole life has been a long road leading directly to this moment.
So you are here because this is where you need to be to continue your evolution. So all of us, wherever we are there perfectly. We need to be aware as to what is the next step. And that is what the game is all about.
He smiled. When you fully integrate this view of your life, you will have achieved what the manuscript calls a clear awareness of your spiritual path. According to the manuscript, we all must spend as much time as necessary going through this process of clearing your past. Most of us have a control drama we have to transcend, but once we do, we can comprehend the higher meaning for why we were born to our particular parents and what all the twists and turns of our lives were preparing us to do. We all have a spiritual purpose, a mission that we have been pursuing without being fully aware of it. And once we bring it completely into consciousness, our lives can take off. In your case, you've discovered this purpose. Now you must go forward, allowing the coincidences to lead you into a clearer and clearer idea of how to pursue this mission from this point on. What else you must do here? Since you've been in Peru, you've been riding along on Bill's energy and Father Sanchez's. But now it's time to learn to evolve by yourself consciously.
So now this is extremely important. Okay. So he says very clearly that since you've landed here, one coincident after the other has led you to where you are, and you've been accepting the coincidences. But you've been riding on other people's energy. So you are hooking onto their energy and then riding it. So now you need to start becoming independent. So we need to empower ourselves. The idea here is of empowerment at the end of the day. How can we increase our own awareness so that we can see the next step that we need to take? So that is where that connection between your conscious and your subconscious and the superconscious starts to come into, or the universal consciousness starts to coming into play, because that is what will guide you in the next step so that you can evolve for yourself.
He was about to tell me something more, but we were both distracted by the sight of Sanchez's truck racing up behind us. He pulled alongside and rolled down his window. What's wrong? Father Carl asked. I must return to the mission as soon as I can get back, Sanchez said. Government troops are there and Cardinal Sebastian. We both jumped into the truck and Sanchez drove back towards Father Carl's house, telling along the way that the troops were at his mission to confiscate all copies of the manuscript and possibly to close it down. We drove up to Father Carl's house and hurriedly walked inside. Father Sanchez immediately began to pack his belongings. I stood there deliberating on what to do. As I watched Father Carl approach the other priest and said, I think I should go with you. Sanchez turned. Are you sure? Yes, I believe I should. For what purpose? I don't know yet. Sanchez stared at him for a moment, then returned to packing. If you think that is best.
So now in this interaction, are you sure? Yes, I believe I should. For what purpose? I don't know yet. This is very important because many times we are consciously not able to process as to why the subconscious is asking us to do something, or the universal consciousness is asking us to do something. But we get a feeling, it's a tasir that you feel. And the more you act on it, the more potent it automatically starts to become.
I was leaning against the door frame. What should I do? I asked. Both men looked at me. That's up to you, Father Carl said. I just stared. You'll have to make the decision, Sanchez interjected.
So now this is important. What should I do? It is up to you. So every man, every woman has to take responsibility for themselves. They need to make their own decisions. Where are we leading to? What is our aim? Why were we born? Is a question that all of us need to ask ourselves. And ultimately, if you leave your decision making to someone else, you are actually just keeping yourself open to blame the other person. So whether the other person tells you to do something or not, ultimately you are the one who's doing it. So taking responsibility for your decisions and for your actions becomes extremely important in the for spiritual progress in your life. Because if you're not responsible for your own action, then how can you be responsible for anything else?
I couldn't believe they were so detached about my choice. To go with them meant certain capture by the Peruvian troops. Yet, how could I stay here alone? Look, I said, I don't know what to do. You two must help me. Is there anyone else who can hide me? Both men looked at one another. I don't think so, Father Carl said. I looked at them, a knot of anxiety growing in my stomach. Father Carl smiled at me and said, Stay centered, remember who you are.
So now I looked at them in a knot of anxiety growing in my stomach. So what does this imply? He immediately shifted to the left side of the grid. And then he says that stay centered. As soon as you are centered, you go on to the right side of the grid. Now, decision making can take place best only on the right side of the grid, not on the left side of the grid.
Sanchez walked over to a bag and pulled out a folder. This is a copy of the sixth insight, he said. Perhaps it will help you decide what to do. As I took the copy, Sanchez looked at Father Carl and asked, How long before you can leave? I'll need to contact some people, Father Carl said. Probably an hour. Sanchez looked at me. Read and think for a while, then we will talk. Both men returned to their preparations, and I walked outside and sat down on a large rock, then opened the manuscript. It echoed exactly the words of Father Sanchez and Father Carl. Clearing the past was a precise process of becoming aware of our individual ways of controlling learned in childhood. And once we could transcend this habit, it said, we would find our higher selves, our evolutionary identities. I read the entire text in less than 30 minutes, and when I finished, I finally understood the basic insight. Before we could fully enter the special state of mind that so many people were glimpsing, the experience of ourselves moving onward in life, guided by mysterious coincidences, we had to wake up to who we really were.
So again, clearing the past can only happen when we become aware of the past. What was the lesson we needed to learn? What was the connection with what we are and what we have to do to progress in the direction that we were meant to progress?
At that moment, Father Carl walked around the house, spotted me, and came to where I was sitting. Have you finished? He asked. His manner was warm and friendly as usual. Yes. Do you mind if I sit here with you for a moment? I wish you would. He positioned himself to my right and, after a period of silence, asked, Do you understand that you are on your path of discovery here? I guess. But now what? Now you must really believe it. How? When I feel this afraid? You must understand what is at stake. The truth you are pursuing is as important as the evolution of the universe itself, for it enables evolution to continue.
So what does this mean? That is pursuing as important as evolution of the universe itself, for it enables evolution to continue. So all our actions, all our thoughts is influencing how the universe is evolving. Okay. So having control over our thoughts, being aware of our thoughts becomes extremely important because we are co-creators of the universe. So whatever is happening around us, we are responsible for creating it.
Don't you see, Father Sanchez told me of your vision of evolution on the ridge top. You saw how matter evolved from the simple vibration of hydrogen all the way to humankind. You wondered how humans carried on this evolution. You have now discovered the answer. Humans are born into their historical situations and find something to stand for. They form a union with another human being who also has found some purpose. The children born to this union then reconcile these two positions by pursuing a higher synthesis, guided by the coincidences. As I'm sure you learned in the fifth insight, each time we fill up with energy and so we can exist at a higher vibration. Our children take our level of vibration and raise it even higher. This is how we as humans continue evolution.
So again, the level at which your parents are, because you're getting the energy from them, it allows you that foundation to be created, and then you can rise above that using that as a stepping stone. So where are we coming from? What is our basic ingredients that we have for our own evolution becomes extremely important. So understanding our own family history, the control dramas that were going on between our parents, and the control dramas that we ourselves are following becomes very, very important for us to introspect.
The difference now with this generation is that we are ready to do it consciously and to accelerate the process. No matter how afraid you become, you now have no choice. Once you learn what life is about, there is no way to erase the knowledge. If you try to do something else with your life, you will always sense that you are missing something.
So, what happens? The moment you rise to a higher level of consciousness, it's very difficult to come down because you know what is there at that higher level. And once you understand that, if you start slipping down, then you'll always feel that something is missing, something is empty inside me. What can I? So your search will constantly go on till you really connect and you jack in with the universal consciousness.
But what do I do now? I don't know. Only you know that. But I suggest you first try to gain some energy.
So now what happens? It's easy to ask someone for advice about your point of action, but then taking responsibility for that action and developing the capacity to actually understand what is your next step becomes extremely important. That is the case. What happens in the excursion workshop is when you're going into focus 12 or even in focus 10, you can actually ask into that expanded state and then connect with your higher self to get answers for yourself. Okay, so it becomes extremely important. And that can only happen if you are energized. If you are in the left side of the grid and you're getting depleted, it's very difficult to get correct answers for yourself. So you need to be on the right side of the grid, highly energized to be able to connect into these sources of information which allow you to take a decision effectively.
But what do I do now? I don't know. Only you know that. But I suggest you first try to gain some energy. Father Sanchez rounded the corner of the house and joined us, carefully avoiding eye contact or noise as if he desired not to interrupt. I tried to center myself and to focus on the rock peaks that encircle the house. I took a deep breath and realized that I had been totally self absorbed since coming outside, as if I had tunnel vision. I had cut myself off from the beauty and majesty of the mountains. As I gazed out at the surroundings, consciously trying to appreciate what I was seeing, I began to experience that now familiar feeling of closeness. Suddenly, everything seemed to exhibit more presence and to glow slightly. I began to feel lighter, my body more buoyant.
So as soon as I start getting centered, my ability to perceive starts to get expanded. I can start seeing the energy fields. I can start connecting. I can start connecting to my intuitive sense perceptions. Okay, that only happens when I'm centered. If I'm centered, then I'm still. So you'll see that almost every any spiritual practice takes you to a state of centeredness, whichever practice it may be. So what is centeredness? Equanimity, equilibrium, balance. So you're totally balanced in that state of consciousness.
As I gazed out at the surroundings, consciously trying to appreciate what I was seeing, I began to experience that now familiar feeling of closeness. Suddenly, everything seemed to exhibit more presence and to glow slightly. I began to feel lighter, my body more buoyant. I looked at Father Sanchez and then at Father Carl. They were gazing intensely at me, and I could tell they were observing my energy field. How do I look? I asked. You look as if you feel better, Sanchez said. Stay here and increase your energy as much as possible. We have about 20 more minutes of packing. He smiled dryly. After that, he continued, you will be ready to begin.
So now Father Sanchez saw in his auric field that he is going to continue in the journey. So he told him very clearly, you will be ready to begin. Okay, I think we can stop here. Why don't we do a search and investigation as to what is our control drama? I'm stopping the sharing. Okay, so who would like to analyze and study themselves? Anyone? We can have some videos. Okay,
Hello,
since
sir.
we've been reading this passage, has anyone actually looked at their control drama? What is the control drama that you have? Yes, Renuji?
Bhaiya, I think all of us go through all the dramas.
Yeah. So
Depending on which one.
all of us in different situations will have different control dramas. But you will find that there is one which is dominant.
How
Ram Ram
to
Bhaiya.
figure that out?
Ram Ram.
Yeah. How to? Can I interrupt?
Yeah, yeah.
How to observe the? I observe myself, or
You have to observe yourself. How can you observe someone else?
yeah, I have to observe that how I am controlling others.
No, 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 no. What is
Then,
your control drama to gain energy from others?
okay, I am controlling others.
Again, please listen to what I'm saying. Your control drama is the process you use to get energy from others.
Okay.
You're not controlling. Of course, to a certain extent, if you're getting energy from them, you are attempting to control them. But the idea is that how do you draw energy from the other guy? So, for example, there are 4 control dramas. Okay.
Yes.
One is the intimidator, which happened which was described in the cafe, in the inn, where the father and mother were totally dominating that young girl, and then ultimately she threw a fit and she walked off. So in the beginning, that girl was a poor me, because the intimidating parents were intimidating her to get energy from her.
Okay.
And at a certain point, she had to rebel to keep her energy with herself. She could not release that energy. You understand? Then you have the interrogator who will keep asking questions so that you pay attention to him or her,
Okay.
or keep saying things to grab attention. to attempt to bring attention to himself or herself. Okay, by asking questions, by inciding, by interrupting, let's say. So there are many ways an interrogator can also attempt to grab energy. Then you have the aloof attitude where you take a standoffish stand. Okay, that you're not interested, but actually you're interested. So when people see that you're not interested, you're not listening, they will give you energy that, okay, why don't you listen? What's happened to you? Has something gone wrong with you? So then they will start giving you energy and you grab that energy from that basis. And then you have the poor me attitude, which says that, अरे हम तो दीन है, हम तो दुखी है, मेरे से तो हो नहीं रहा है, मेरे को तो support चाहिए, I can't do it, I won't do it, that kind of dukhi attitude. So I don't have any energy. And based on that, people will give you energy. That because I'm not powerful enough in my own right, so I need support. So you will grab energy from that basis. Okay, so these are the 4 ways.
Yes.
Of course, it is a given that in different aspects of our life, we act in different control dramas. But what is our dominant control drama, which is enacted more often than the others? Would anyone like to share?
Niket, please repeat the 4 points once.
The 4 points is, the first one is intimidator. That means, you're dominating another person. Number 2 is interrogator. Number 3 is aloof.
Okay, aloof.
And number 4 is poor me.
Poor me. Okay, thank you.
So what is the control drama that we are using? No one wants to say.
Yeah, trying to think. Last is not there. First also not.
No, so don't think aloud. Think and say. Let someone else give a chance. Would anyone like to share?
Yeah, I think I'm more of an interrogator.
Interrogator. Perfect.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
So
Because,
be aware of it.
Yeah, because my situation, if I analyze, I quite it resembles mother is spiritual and father is more of a perfectionist. So
Okay.
in a different way, but quite similar.
Yeah. So the point is, now you are aware that you are the interrogator, right? So now interrogate with awareness.
Right.
पूरा life ही control drama है.
Because I keep asking why did the person behave in a certain way. I just keep thinking about that. It doesn't get out of my mind.
No. So then that's an internal dialogue. How are you grabbing energy from the other person? By asking too many questions.
May I ask? May I say?
Yes.
Yeah, Aisha,
Yes.
go ahead.
I used to be poor me when I was younger. I actually analyzed this greatly while we are reading the book.
Yeah.
Then I went through a bit of an intimidator. And then I feel now I'm reaching the aloof stage.
Okay.
So,
So see, the poor me.
I've seen different phases of my life. I've been
So if
through
you watch your life, the progress of your life, what were your parents? Which area of your life you went through which phase? Now, poor me will automatically turn to an intimidator.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the intimidator will get banged up and then he'll turn into an aloof. Okay.
Yeah.
So the point is to be aware to transcend the control drama.
Right.
And what is the transition point? Today, if I am giving love, I'm not doing it for selfish reasons. So again, when we are looking at the Gita, from the Gita perspective also, he keeps saying that self-realized person is empowered in their own energy. Okay. You're not looking, you're taking responsibility for everything that you're doing. You're not in the blame game.
Yeah.
Okay. The self-realized person is not a selfish person. So when you are in a control drama, you are not self-realized. Because you're grabbing energy from someone else. It is not acting out of selflessness. So you have to transcend your control drama to become more homogeneous with your own energy field.
Right.
Yes, Bobby?
I was thinking of the same thing, that there is a fifth. We may not be in any of these 4 control dramas. That's why I was keeping quiet. I can't understand what to say. Where am I? I don't see myself fitting into any of the 4.
So that's the point, right? So when you start operating out of self-awareness, you're aware of this thing and you're not really attempting to grab energy from anyone else. You have your own resources which you tap into to get energy for yourself, and you give energy and you get energy back.
Yeah.
Okay. So if that is happening, then the control drama is not existing.
Yeah.
The interaction between Marjorie and the hero, where in the first instance when they were interacting, he was actually attempting to, because of his lustful whatever thing,
he was actually
attempting to grab energy from her, and she realized it and she moved away. Right? The next time they met, what was the interaction? She was supporting him and he was supporting her. So now the control drama is out of the window. Because if we are supporting each other, we are not being hobby on each other, then there is no problem.
Yeah, but at the same time, overall, maybe you are leading life in a certain manner, but there may be instances when you are
naturally, all of us are
you
human,
are an interrogator, or you are a dominator or whatever.
Absolutely. So all of us are human at the end of the day. All of us will have our ups and downs, right? Now, also what will happen is that as we are growing, we all have some trigger points. The point is also to start becoming aware of which are the trigger points, which trigger us into a certain thing. So that is the pattern. So the more aware you become of the pattern, the more control you'll have over the pattern. The idea ultimately is to transcend the pattern. I'm not saying हम भी दूध से धुला हुआ नहीं भैया, हम भी गुस्सा होता है, to be frank with you. Okay. But the fact here is awareness. How much more awareness can you bring into the picture? And also you will find that there will be people in your life which will trigger a pattern in you.
Yes.
Because there's a pattern they are operating with, they will trigger a pattern in you. So again, you have to become aware. Aware of that. Their pattern is getting triggered in me. To become aware so that you don't start getting triggered, let them be in their pattern. You may be able to support them to rise above it, but ultimately they have to do the work. You can't do the work for them. It is impossible.
Yes.
So again, now over here, it becomes very important for children also. Most parents want to live their life through their children.
Yeah.
Right? So now what are you doing? You're attempting to grab energy from your children.
Absolutely.
So you have to give love to your children and then let them be, take responsibility for their own actions. But unfortunately, our generation, I'm talking about our age people, we've given so much in a platter to our children that they're becoming more demanding because they are always in the control drama of grabbing more from the parents.
Yeah, so it's become ulta.
Exactly. It's actually become ulta. And you are taking responsibility for them all the time. So you're constantly giving them, feeding them energy, which is a very bad thing as far as the children are concerned because they don't get their own power.
Yes.
They're not tapping into their own power. How can I do something? Because they're not responsible, right? The parents are responsible for everything. So big issue. Yes, Manisha? You have to unmute.
Ram Ram Bhaiya.
Ram Ram.
Bhaiya, I think when I was younger, I was more aloof. And then I became dominant. And now I am not too sure. It depends, I feel, it depends whose company I am in. If I am in somebody's company who is very dominant, then I'm very confused as to what I am just now.
Yeah, so again, now this is an opportunity for us, right? If we are confused, it's a good state of being to be in. Because it means that we are looking. Okay. So now you have to start actually perceiving where are you? Now, of course, certain people are triggering something in you.
Yeah.
So now you have to be aware that, okay, this guy is triggering this in me. Certain places will trigger something in you. So you be aware that this place is triggering something in me. Time. So time, place, and person. What is triggering me? The more, and then if you start noting it down,
right,
you start maintaining a record, you'll see the pattern.
right.
Now, when you see the pattern, then you put a strategy in place to transcend it, that when you are with that person who's triggering you off, what is the strategy you will use to keep your centered awareness?
Right. Yes, Bhaiya.
Are you
And then,
getting?
yes, I understand that. But then I'm also trying to think what my parents were, and then trying to, sort myself out as to what actually
Again, if you can become self-aware of what you are doing, your parents are definitely important. I'm not saying they're not important. Okay.
Right.
But if you can actually, because you're a synthesis of what your parents were.
Right.
So if you can observe yourself, then you'll be able to understand what your parents were also.
Okay.
Because again, it's very, very difficult for us to really look at our parents very empirically.
Yes, you can say
Because
that. Yes.
you will look at them from the perspective of your relationship with the parents. But again, they had relationships with many other people.
Right. They could be different from
They could be different in other situations, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So of course, if you can, I don't think anyone is so pure and see in the book writing it down that, okay, this parent was like this parent was like that. It's an easy thing to do. But in real life, it's not so easy to determine all the time.
Bilkul.
You get it? So I would suggest we work on ourselves.
And Bhaiya, like you said that we are always feeding our children with energy.
Yeah.
So what's the way out?
So start turning it down.
Okay.
You can't shut it off, because if you shut it off, they will go into withdrawal symptoms.
Okay.
So you need to start twisting it, that, okay, take your decision. I can support you only till this extent. Balance you have to see.
Right.
So start taking away it's like when you learn how to drive a bicycle, first you've got two wheels, right?
Yeah.
Two of those wheels. Then after you start learning how to stand straight and all, you remove one of the wheels.
One,
Okay. After some time, you remove the other wheel.
Yeah. Okay.
So do it on a stepwise basis. Now, if you do it in one shot, the guy is going to fall. So gently withdraw the support.
Right.
The support is there. I'm not saying it's not there. But I'm saying
not all the time.
apparently they need to start taking responsibility for themselves.
Right. Thank you, Bhaiya. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Anyone else would like to share?
Niket ji.
Haji.
In our day-to-day life, we keep on changing our ways of handling things,
Correct.
Depending on the circumstances, we may adopt any of the four things.
Correct.
And we do it. Not consciously, unconsciously we do it.
Correct.
And that is quite natural,
Absolutely.
Not from an intention of drawing energy from somebody else, but then to handle a situation.
Correct.
And what do you say that?
Yeah. So, but
what do you say about that?
The point is that when you go into a drama without really understanding that you're going into a drama.
Okay.
The moment you understand that, okay, I'm doing this, आज गुस्सा होना गलत नहीं है, ठीक है? But what is the basis on which you are getting annoyed? What is your intent of getting annoyed? Is it jhanjoloing you inside or not? After you get annoyed, how long are you annoyed? एक होता है ना, बच्चा को आप जोर से बोलते हैं कोई बात for the child's good, okay, but it is not affecting you inside. But if you're getting annoyed and it is affecting you inside, then it becomes a problem. So when are we acting? When are we acting consciously? When are we acting unconsciously?
So what is good according to you?
If you are attempting to be habi on the other person and grab energy from the other person, then it's not a good thing.
Okay.
It's as simple as that. Rather, let us look at how we can support the other person to achieve what they need to achieve.
Okay.
But then many times the other person is not ready to look at it from that point of view.
Mm-hmm.
That other person still wants to be in the control drama and still suck energy out of you. So then you need to step back and then maintain your centeredness and not get caught up in the control drama.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you will get caught in the control drama and one thing will lead to the other thing.
So our intentions matter a lot.
101%. What is the intent? 101%.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Alka.
Yeah, I've been also continuously thinking about it. That's why I didn't speak up earlier. I've been, in fact, thinking about it since 2 days because I read this chapter 2 days back.
Yeah.
Because I had missed that day's class because of my mother-in-law's health.
Yeah.
So I didn't know till which page I have to read. I read up the whole chapter.
Perfectly all right.
So right now it occurred to me rather that I think I am the aloof person because I am not an interrogator, neither am I an intimidator, and I'm definitely not the poor me most of the time.
Yeah.
But I I've been thinking मैं बोलती हूँ, but I will not ठीक है छोड़ दो. I'll avoid this like this guy was doing.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to. I know I should ask.
Yeah.
I know I can ask, but I will not ask.
So now you start asking. So now you're aware of your drama, right?
Yes.
So now what are you going to do about it? That's the game.
And I was also thinking about my parents, like how it could have come to me.
Yeah.
My father is more of a dominating personality.
Yeah.
So he was in my childhood more of an intimidator and an interrogator. So हर चीज के question होते थे. So rather than get subdued by that or to keep asking, I used to become aloof.
Aloof, exactly.
I used to do exactly what he wanted me to do, but without getting timid or engaging. I used to do or stay aloof.
Correct.
And my mother was asking a lot of questions, and अगर नहीं करो और नहीं answer करो तो it used to be poor me. That I'm doing everything for all of you. तुम लोग के लिए तो मर जाओ तो भी कुछ नहीं होगा. You know, I have given everything in life for you people. So to even avoid that, I used to become aloof.
Correct.
So I think that is what I have got into my character.
Exactly. So now where is it leading you? Now the question is, what do you need to do about it?
I need to open up more to situations. Ask, not be afraid to ask and interact with people if I feel there is a need.
Exactly. So then now work on it, no?
Because you'll agree with me that I've been reading books with you since March, and most of the time I don't speak.
Exactly. So that's it.
I have questions, mind you. I have answers also to a lot of things that you ask. But मेरे को लगता है ठीक है सब बोल रहे हैं ना छोड़ो.
But Alka, the change is happening, if I may say so.
Thank you.
But that's the basic point.
I also think so.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bhaiya.
Okay. Anyone else would like to share? Otherwise, we can close. Yes, Bhabhi. You have to unmute.
See, over the years and situations, you go through different, sometimes you're an intimidator, sometimes you're an interrogator. But what I wanted to just say that over the last few years since I got into my spiritual practice and with the awareness coming, the understanding comes that this is the kind of role I'm playing. So I'm able to transcend it very easily and to shift away from it.
That's the point.
That is the difference, which like Mukul said, I'm seeing the difference that I'm neither of the four, but I'm able to see that this is the game which is going on. So I'm more of an onlooker and I'm able to transcend most of it.
That's the basic point of becoming aware. Only when you become aware can you transcend. That's the game. Okay, thank you. Yes.
Niket, for me, I feel I have become aloof after joining awareness. Like I don't like to indulge myself. Really, I don't indulge myself in anything which is not required. I like to be away from it. I'll rather be quiet and on my own. But I will not like pehle jaise rehta tha na, fickle-minded. You are neither here nor there. You're just doing everything and not even doing. But now you're very focused.
See, again, you're not becoming aloof. You're becoming more aware as
focused,
to where you need to spend your energy and where you don't need to spend your energy. That is not aloof. That is operating out of awareness and centeredness.
No, aloof, I meant you be aloof with unnecessary gossip, problem. I keep myself out.
जो necessary नहीं है, उसमें अपना नाक घुसाना माने you're the interrogator.
Okay. नहीं घुसाते हैं, वही तो मैं बोल रही हूँ.
नहीं घुसा रहे हैं ना, तो अब क्या हो गया? Now you know, you're realizing, अरे this is not required for me to put my head in.
Exactly.
So I will not put my head in. What is the point?
Yeah. Exactly.
अब और कोई झगड़ा कर रहा है, उसके बीच में घुस के हम उल्लू के साथ भी झगड़ा करने लग जाए, उसमें what's the point?
Is no point. Yeah,
so you
exactly.
conserve your own energy. You are creating integrity for yourself. So that is actually bringing awareness to what you were doing, right?
Yeah.
Don't you think after you become more aware, you're more energetic, you're more focused,
100%,
you're able to
100%.
achieve much more?
Much
So
more.
then what is the point? You're becoming more integrous. So why are you saying I've become more aloof?
No, I felt like I was saying aloof means in the sense ki aloof from things which are not required. Which I feel
you should be aloof from them which are not required.
That's good.
But वही मैं बोल रही हूँ, पहले नहीं थी ना. Now 6 months, 7 months, I become more focused. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Yeah.
वही तो है. पंचायती मत करो, बस हो गया.
नहीं करते बुआ जी, पंचायती तो करती ही नहीं हूँ.
Buआ, you're just too cute.
I swear, बुआ too cute. कहाँ से कहाँ जाती है ना. Hats off. Really, you're really too cute. That's true.
Actually, we read in the 4 agreements also. Yeah. Don't make assumptions. Yeah. Panchayati matlab you're making assumptions. Yeah. Simple. Waste of energy. Making assumptions is a total waste of energy.
Yeah.
So lovely. I think this was a good idea, Niket. Yeah. To make everybody think and, share.
Yeah, naturally. This is the most important chapter, I think, in the book, because this is where the crux comes, where you start paying attention, you start becoming aware, so that you can create value in your life, so that that transition and transformation can come in your life.
Starts happening. Yeah.
Yeah. This is what I was saying, that definitely a lot of change has happened.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
आप member बने कि नहीं?
हाँ, बन गए ना. हो गया, बहुत easily हो गया मेरा तो.
चलिए बात करिए.
हमारा नहीं हो रहा.
फिर से ट्राई करिए.
तुम उसको रिवॉल्व दो, तब हो जाएगा. Hemlata, you do a reball to all of us who are trying. No, you do it yourself. Do things for yourself.
Be empowered.
You must do things for yourself.
Oh, Poonam, I missed calling you back. It became too late.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll call you. I have another appointment after this session, and after the meditation. After that, I'll call you around 6 o'clock.
Okay.
I apologize.
Poonam, what is behind your head? Those little diyas? They're so cute. No, this is a mirror. Okay.
This is a mirror. Buaji, don't do panchayati.
Can I say something?
Yeah, Poonam.
Okay, so I have a total aversion and repulsion to intimidators and interrogators.
Yeah.
They drain me of my energy.
Yeah. So then what do you need to do?
Protect myself and keep away from them.
No, not protect yourself. Raise your own energy level so that they cannot intimidate you.
Okay.
समझ में आया?
कोशिश कर
भागने से क्या होगा? दूसरा इंटिमिडेटर मिल जाएगा. Think about what you've been doing. You've been running from one intimidator to fall into the laps of another one.
True.
So till you find your own energy, till you find your own integrity, you will keep running.
Oof.
Poonam.
Yes.
Do you see what I'm saying in your life?
Absolutely.
You get that? So I think we did not have our conversation because you needed to hear what was in the book.
True.
So that, you get context of what is happening to you.
Yeah, but I try and keep away from confrontation. And the more I run away from confrontation, the more it hits me on my head.
Exactly. So running away is not the answer. Okay. Chalo, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Right. Anyone else? Otherwise, we'll wrap up.
Time ho gaya aapka. It's already 3.
Yeah. Okay. Chaliye. So see you all. Thank you.
Okay.
Achha,
Bye.
today we have a great talk. This guy is coming from UK and he's good. He's been doing this astrology for 30 years and he's good. Okay. So please come at 9:15.
Thank you, Bhaiya.
Thank you.
Ram Ram.
Thank you. Thank you, Ram Ram.
Thank you very much.
Ram Ram.
Bye.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Srimangla.
Mangla.